First Gen Wealth, we talk about an entrepreneur's journey to creating wealth. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of peers that they're brought up with money and the ability to handle and figure that out. Finding dollars has always been easy. Finding a deal, making money, I can do that. What to do with it to make it continue to earn so we do have that generational wealth, that's the missing piece. We want our money that we've earned through blood, sweat, and tears to now go to work for us. So that money is making money while we're sleeping.
Hey, welcome back to First Gen Wealth. I'm leading us in because Randy's just feeling a little unmotivated today. I'm not exactly sure, but we're 30-ish episodes in, so welcome back, Randy.
Yeah, so welcome back to First Gen Wealth. Just in case Jim sucks, they can cut that. I don't know. No, we're gonna let you run the show today. You had brought up a topic about the SOTU, the State of the Union address.
I heard it recently called the Hate of the Union address.
Okay,
so I thought that was pretty clever.
But there were some real estate topics that were discussed, so that's why it's relevant here.
We'll stay out.
Even
though
Jim keeps trying to dive us into the political, we'll probably get there eventually. We keep dipping our toe in a little bit.
It's a
little dip it, check the waters on the political landscape. We're just at a comedy show too, so we got a lot of funny stuff that we can talk about politics wise. But no,
I'm sure the delivery won't be nearly as good, but we can try.
No.
But no, a couple of things he talked about, President Biden talked about with the State of the Union was trying to encourage first-time home buyers and incentivizing them through tax credits. And he talked about some other things regarding apartments, and I'll let you get into that. But I think the one thing I really wanted to talk about is what does it look like when you incentivize people to purchase a house or incentivize anyone to do anything? What does that do for prices? What does that do for competition in the marketplace? Because there's always unintended consequences. So the thought was, I think he mentioned roughly $400 per month for first-time home buyers to help them get into a new house. And now we've kind of learned more about that. That's more of a $10,000 tax credit over a couple years, so it equates to about $400 a month. And when I look at it in our world, in residential real estate, we only have a set amount of people that can go out and purchase a house today based on their income or based on what they've saved up. And when you put more people in that bucket that are now approved, it will drive prices up. So the unintended consequences are there's still a significant lack of supply, and now you have more people competing for those same, very few homes available in the market. And so you are trying to solve one problem by getting more people into home ownership, which we absolutely encourage. But at the same time, by driving prices up, which affordability is a huge issue. So now you are, you're creating one problem or creating another problem by trying to solve one. So
yeah, because it's more organic than that. I mean, the problem with the affordability is the lack of inventory, and
yes.
that's on the housing side for home buyers, and it's also on the apartment side for renters. There's just a lack of inventory, a lack of available units, especially a lack of available units of affordable. If you're not building a apartment complex in Palm Springs, it's a lot, or Miami, right? Mm-hmm. There's high dollar rent stuff. It's a completely different dynamic when you get into middle America and some of the smaller towns and outside of the high rent districts, right? Where you're trying to deliver some affordable housing. So, that's a tough issue to try to resolve without more inventory.
Yeah.
So you're saying exactly right. It's just like we were talking about interest rates lower is going to automatically increase flow into the deal, into transactions, which is going to drive prices higher. And you start incentivizing, it's just going to make the pricing higher. So, at the end of the day, the people that cause the problems are trying to fix the problems sometimes, because I think a lot of the affordability, and not all of it, but a lot of the affordability on the apartment side goes to inflation. Housing, I think, is just strictly a market problem with lack of inventory.
Yeah.
but they spent trillions of dollars and things that it just devalued our currency so bad. So rents had to go up because what cost $350 is now $700 or whatever. So and by just giving away more money, like the reason we got here, they're trying to do the same thing to solve the problem. And it's just kind of a bit of a head scratcher, literally, because it's just going to create a more competitive marketplace, which causes prices to go up.
This reminds me of like when inflation was first starting to become a really like hot topic, and there was some states gave out inflation credits to fight inflation because people were having a hard time with rising prices. Things at the grocery store cost money. So here's a $200 tax credit. Or, not even a tax credit. It's like a whatever, just stimulus. Here's $200 because we need you to be able to fight this inflation. Well, that completely defeats the purpose because you have to understand what got us into the mess to begin with. So I think that housing, the main piece is the supply, but inflation absolutely goes into that too, because when you have a normal market, it's always, okay, can I buy a house and is it going to cost me more or less to buy than I rent? When I factor in my mortgage payment, my taxes, my insurance. And as inflation continues to wreak havoc on landlords through higher property taxes, higher utilities, higher everything, that spread of, can I buy a house for less than I rent? Right now, you can. Like, I can't charge enough in rent to make my money back in a lot of cases, in a lot of markets.
Right.
So as an investor, I'm not buying real estate in certain markets because I can't get the rent of what it's going to cost me to do it. So that's one thing that always comes into play on what kind of market are we in. So you have people that, when you look at renting or buying, it absolutely makes sense to buy in a lot of cases. Or I'm sorry, in this case, it makes sense to rent because you can rent for cheaper than what you can buy right now.
Right now. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's impossible to build to satisfy the need, So it's going to be an ongoing challenge. I don't see the housing situation changing as far as affordability without some craziness happen for like a decade. Just because it takes that long for inventory to build up to that, and with cost of labor, cost of materials, it's like there's no incentive to do that. But if you incentivize it, then the price it adds to the inflationary side aspect, and then you're just kicking the can down the road a little bit, but it still becomes less affordable.
Well, one thing that would help from a construction standpoint is cheaper labor. Yeah, and there may be some cheaper labor on the way, or currently already.
Well, yeah, they stream in from the southern border,
right?
Yeah, so which is terrific. I think. We've always had Mexican laborers in the United States. Most of them are on work visas historically. Now it's a little different and weird, but they're not coming to small markets. They're still going to New York, California, Texas, obviously.
Yeah.
So the labor force, I think, in middle America, who's crossing the border to go to Montana? You know what I mean? Like, who's crossing the border to go to? They don't come here in Michigan either, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, I think we do see some of it, but I mean, if housing is a driving force. Like, if you cross the border, where are you going to live? Where are you going to live? You have to go find a place where there's availability.
Well, and that's why you see in a lot of the large urban markets, there's conversions of office towers right now, like at least being considered, and the local municipalities are doing their part by changing zoning and things of that nature to convert skyscrapers that were historically office into housing, which is going to, you can put a lot of people on some of those, but they got to pay rent in order for the developer to make sense out of it all. Right. So, I mean, it's not cheap to convert a office building into hundreds of, if not 1,000 apartment units. So the math still has to work for the developer. So it's, I get it leading into an election year. You want to come up with all these great things that you can promise, but when you start really contemplating some of it, it's not always a great idea. Not that I have a great idea.
Well, I mean,
I think stop spending. You know what I mean? I keep saying that, and you keep telling me they're not going to do that. Well, it drives me bonkers. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't matter. That's the thing they both Republicans and Democrats have in common.
They want to spend.
They want to spend. They want to spend on different things, but they're Republicans will hold it up when it's convenient for them. Democrats will hold it up when it's convenient for them, but nobody wants to go back to their elected, their community and say, I didn't get us what we thought we could get.
Yeah.
So they of course want to spend. They of course want to, facilitate their lobbyists and donors and things of that nature. But the way that I look at it is, if it's kind of like my philosophy on grants. Overall, I don't like them based on my opinion on just income taxes, property taxes, etc. But if they're out there, you and I are going to go figure out a way to get them to benefit our properties, to benefit our community. So if Joe Biden wants to put money towards something, and we're going to put money towards something, to me, the credits have to go towards development and new construction, not the consumer.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way consumers are going to be able to get into the market, is if there are more properties to be lived in.
Yeah.
And so, and again, and I don't support that, but I'm saying if I had to choose, it would be, and I don't know if he's hesitant to do that because a lot of his talk was big corporations got to pay more. Well, if I'm giving big benefits to Pulte Homes to build more houses to make it more affordable, that goes against what the headlines are of I have to make corporations pay more.
One is a long-term strategy. The other one's a Band-Aid. You know what I mean? For votes, really. I mean, we need more inventory. So those are the programs that they should be focusing on. Maybe you should run, bro.
It's funny you say that. I every once in a while I get the bug.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's, when we originally moved back to Owasso, it was because I was entertaining running for House of Reps here locally.
Nice.
And that was in, I think it was in 2012. Whenever Ben Frederick first ran, like that was when I was entertaining the idea. And since then, I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it. And every once in a while, I get this little bug, like, I think it's time.
Well, and it's because, like, you don't want anything to do with it because, man, oh, man, those guys get dragged through the mud.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter how good your heart is. Like, you're going to get absolutely hated on by half of your community.
Anywhere between 49 to 51% of the people absolutely hate you.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? It's like you just have to be comfortable with going through every day of half the people out there freaking hate you.
Yeah.
And that wild. How ridiculous is that? It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
It's just so dumb. We get a little bit of a taste of it here and there when there's local blogs and stuff on Facebook where, like, first of all, like, don't be a pussy. Like, if you got something to say, you come say it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hide behind whatever. And
the
like,
keyboard warriors.
I'm a person. I've got a family. You've got kids. Like, we're just people. And you want to, like, really, like, attack somebody? Like, what? How do you, like, does that make you tough? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get the mindset of, like, really digging in. But, but then there's times where I, like, have to hold back from doing the same thing. I just feel like you get online and people are just, they lose sense of reality. Like, I would never communicate face to face with somebody like.
Yeah, the internet and the blogs and all those things, it's like gives everybody this autonomy to just be an absolute asshole. And they absolutely wouldn't say that to your face, and those are the things that you would have to hold in, 20 years ago. You didn't have that opportunity. Right. So if you said it, you'd get beat up, right? More than likely, but they just didn't get said. And it was a lot more peaceful because there was a lot of unknown, like the old ignorance is bliss, but people just have the keyboard warriors is what I call them. They just get on there and just, they don't even know what they're talking about half the time. Complete disregard for facts. And as a politician, you're absolutely just getting destroyed on a daily every time you say anything.
Yeah.
And so, like, but there again, it's like, man, you can see how, if they could see it this way, if I could get in there and I could talk. So it's like, I used to sign my papers in high school, Senator Randall Woodworth. Every one of my papers in every class was signed as senator because that's what I wanted to do, was get into politics. I don't have that desire very much anymore, but I can see why at a certain point guys do. They're just like, oh my God, this is so bad. But then they get in there and it's like nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's a very polluted sphere that they're in. And I'm talking Washington more than I'm talking state legislature. But even still, even in Lansing here in Michigan, I think they get in their bubble,
For sure. And everything, like, creating change is hard.
Yeah.
Because everything's so bureaucratic.
Yeah.
I even think of more local, city council, or even I'm on a couple different boards, trying to get 10 board members, just 10 board members that all serve the same organization with the same purpose of wanting to grow that organization. Trying to get 10 board members to really unite and rally behind a thing. You know what I mean? And you're going to have different opinions, and it's hard, and magnify that by 1,000 when you have money, big money, going into getting these people elected, staying elected. So it's hard. So yeah, you can go in wanting the best and wanting to create change, but you're just dealing with just sludge. It's you know what I mean? Like,
it's the swamp, man.
It is. It's you can't go in and really expect to make change. And that's, Jill said many times when I've talked about running, like, well, you can do more good by not being in office and, try to, like, behind the scenes dictate change and create different things that you want. Once you get into Lansing or Washington, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And you're one of many who are now, like, wanting to create change, and you're stubborn on what you're going to do. But it just baffles me. So, but I think we started with talking about real estate and possible tax credits. But the political piece is hard to get, you know what I mean? It's hard to remove.
Yeah, because we can think one thing is a good or a bad idea, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They're going to push through whatever suits, whatever they think, and that's what it's become. It's like, and I'm not talking Democrats or Republicans. I'm talking politicians, so both sides. Whatever policy is going to translate to votes the fastest is what they're going to get behind. Whatever they deem. Whether it's a long-term solution, whether it's actually going to fix a problem, or whether it's going to compound is irrelevant. It's not a factor. That's what drives me nuts. You know what I mean? Like, we are in the middle of hyperinflation. Like, you look at what 2017, 18, 19 prices and labor and everything cost compared to what it is now. It's insane. I've never, I'm 46 years old. I haven't seen anything like this, or at least I don't remember it, where it was like things are literally double what they were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's no question, like, big-brained economists understand that when you print trillions of dollars of money and just insert it into an economy, it devalues, and that's why we have hyperinflation. So when you come up and to try to get votes on one idea, and the answer is printing more stinking money, it's like, oh my goodness, like, when are these people going to realize that's what's got to stop? And it's like the government just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they keep getting raises, and it's just the bigger they get, the worse off the average guy is, the average person is in this country. So, I mean, it's all that said, still going to end up benefiting you as a business owner, right? If those types of policies get introduced, especially in the short term.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People are going to.
Well, me specifically as a mortgage guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Broker, yeah.
As a mortgage, that's what I'm saying. Not just in general business owners. I'm saying the mortgage industry is going to, absolutely, because it's going to come at the same time that the interest rates are naturally going to adjust. However, that could change too, because now if the Fed goes back to a meeting and we've got more inflation, they're not going to lower those interest rates.
Yeah.
Because when we were talking in our last episode about, the crystal ball of, the rest of 2024, we were definitely forecasting a
rate cut in May.
Yeah,
and already they're kind of pushing that back to June right now.
Well, you can't cut rates when you can forecast and see that they're about to introduce something that's going to cause more inflationary trends. I mean, you know what I mean? So,
but at the same time, like, protecting yourself against inflation. I mean, real estate is a great protector of that because you are, especially with mortgaged properties, you're locking in your expenses. So of course, utilities or property taxes are going to go up, small percentage each year, but for the most part, the majority of your expenses associated with that property are locked in. So you're protecting yourself with that. And then another thing that's going on right now, which is a little bit crazy, is gold hit an all-time high.
Yeah.
So upwards of $2,200 an ounce.
That should tell you something.
So
let me tell you what that should tell you.
Yeah.
It means our dollar is getting more and more worthless. When gold is like hitting new highs, $2,200 an ounce, it's because our dollar is, and now with, potentially another $500 billion, it's like numbers like we've become so, I think, desensitized to these massive amounts of money they're talking about. Like, do you know that when the income tax was introduced, it was 1%, and the government lived off that, and then like 5 or 10 years later, you can check my math, I don't know what it was, but the corporate income tax was introduced and was only 3%, and that's what the government was able to, that benefited the government. Like, that was a profit for the government. 1% income tax, 3% corporate tax, or it might have those reversed. But
whatever it is, you're talking about taxes less than 5%. Across the board.
And now they're looking at raising both those things again into the we're getting close to 30%. I mean, the smallest, I think, income tax is 12 or 15%. Is the smallest income tax for poverty level.
Yeah, less than like $20,000.
That's 12 times the amount they used to be able to run off of now. And the corporations were paying either 1 or 3, and I can't remember which it was, but now they're 25, looking at a 3% hike or 3-point hike there to 28. It's it drives me nuts how absolutely behemoth that the government has gone from being able to benefit and survive and provide the services off of like a 3% number as opposed to now needing a 28% number. And it's not benefiting anybody but them.
Well, I mean, you look, part of that would be
so they can keep spending.
Well, not only that, but look at the amount of employees the government has. So it's, when we were being taxed at 1 to 3%, I can't imagine what that workforce looked like compared to now. I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people working for the federal government. It's insane.
It's insane. Even like in the state of Michigan, like the highest net employer for the last 2 years has been the state. Like half of our employment numbers come from government jobs. It's an insane amount. It's an insane amount of money it takes to run that, and it's programs on top of programs on top of programs. And like, we should do an episode about the crazy waste that they do. But it's just, they never take it back. You know what I mean? They just keep adding. And they try to solve problems by throwing more money at it. And it's like the pith of the problem, the core of the problem never, ever gets addressed. So anyway, we need to protect ourselves from that, bro. Like you were trying to say, and you get my blood pressure going a little bit, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about this.
I shouldn't
have.
It's so frustrating. Yeah, that's why I let in. I think because we started talking about it a little bit before, and you're just like,
it just disgusts me. That's what it's like. I'm just disgusted by it because it's so bad, and I don't. I mean, to me, it's like I feel like there is a full collapse coming there at some point. Just because it's unsustainable. You can't just keep calling it trillions of dollars and be okay.
Well, that's why. So if it does happen, and I kind of agree, I think we will have some type of financial collapse or significant slowdown in some way. And I like to buy things that I can touch and feel and have. So if the dollar were to completely collapse, that's where I still own this house. I still own that land. I still own that piece of gold. Although I did sell some gold for the first time. I've been a buyer since like 2009, just a little bit here and there, a little bit of silver here and there. And for the first time in, how many years is that? 15 years almost. I actually sold a little bit last week. but taking that money and then putting it into real estate. You know what I mean? So it's because we have some real estate projects that need some cash. And that was like, to me, I'm like, okay, it's at an all-time high. I'm going to protect myself a little bit.
Did you feel a little bit of a loss, a little depression?
I did. I have like FOMO,
fear of missing out.
FOMO. I have FOMO, and that missing out hasn't even happened yet. Just because I feel like gold within the next 6 to 7 months is going to be a lot higher than 2,200.
Well, it feels like it should be silver.
So, well, silver, historically, it trades at a percentage of what gold is, and it's way undervalued if you're looking at those ratios. But I sold some silver too. But yeah, I have FOMO, and there's as of right now, there's no reason to have it. I've made money.
Yeah,
I should feel good about it, but I just keep telling myself, but you put it back into real estate, you're just trading one hard asset for another hard asset. It's really no big deal. And from a cash standpoint, you bought it at this price, you sold it at that price.
You made a profit.
I think when you factor in inflation, who knows? But
well, fair. Yeah,
I'm not going to get into that math. But
yeah. Shoot. Yeah,
I think I did okay. I looked at some of the prices of what I bought stuff at because I did, I've kept a record of it. I think I did okay, but it's still like it does feel weird selling something that I thought I would keep for forever, or in my mind at the time I'm like, I will sell it when it hits this price. Well, it didn't hit that price, but I still sold it. So
yeah, you just do what you got to do at the time, man, and move forward.
Yep,
you can't go broke taking a profit.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I just feel all depressed now. So let's talk about something cool. What's cool?
Dude, look at this sunshine, man. I got shadows all over my body.
I'm like, bro, you got me I want to crawl under a rock. I'm so pissed off at, and I like this whole topic, doesn't ever get better. There's no good time to talk about politics, at least in the last 20 years to me. It's just been a freaking disaster. Bravo to the guys and girls that think they can make a change. Half the world hates you, and you get beat up, or you get you probably succumb to it. A lot of them,
I think, or you just have to just completely ignore it. But I think you can get really energized by what happens locally because there's more of a connection, and those people really matter to what your daily life feels like.
Yeah.
So city council, we've got some great people on city council. We've got some great people on the county board of commissioners. So locally, you can get energized and feel great about some of the people representing us and some of the things they're doing. But even then, there's still the BS that goes along with that too.
Well, you had got into the bureaucracy side of it. It's amazing to me how you're trying to rally 10 people on a board who's supposed to, this seems like it should be a simple thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, everybody's got the better idea or what they think is the right idea. And it's hard to move, and things get tabled and they take forever. The politics and bureaucrats do not move at the speed of business. It's a very frustrating situation. But so what's new in your life? Anything good?
Well, I think that the mortgage market is really starting to pick up, which is great for us. This time of year in Michigan, always, we go through December, January, February, which slows down significantly. People just aren't buying houses on Christmas.
Yeah.
Just not like something they're doing. You got the sun shining. You've got, people starting to want to figure out what they're going to do. The school year, they're planning for next school year of where they want to live. So that's something that's we're excited about at my office. And it's March Madness. So this time of year for me is always.
Are you heading to Vegas? Or where are you
I'm
going?
not. So right now I've got a one-way trip booked for Kansas City for next weekend.
Okay.
It all depends on my team wins or lose.
One-way trip.
Between then and there. And so
this is for the Juke or the division?
NAIA national tournament. So Madonna University, where I played, they have to win Friday and Saturday to go to their Sweet 16 version.
Cool.
Which would be in Kansas City. So I'm assuming they're going to win this Friday and Saturday. I've got my trip booked to Kansas City, and
see how long you stay.
See how long I stay.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love March Madness. I do. I don't think it's the first time in a while that I have absolutely. My team's not even anywhere near. They won 8 games this year.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Michigan basketball. Juwan Howard is probably going to go away.
Yep.
I mean,
By the time this airs, he might be gone.
yeah,
'Cause I think
which
they
is
play-
actually only 2
They
days
play
away.
Tuesday
yeah.
in the Big Ten tournament as the 14 out of 14 seeds, so they
Oh, my
lose.
God. They're
It might be that quick. So he's gone before this even airs.
That's wild, man. What if they make a run?
Yeah. Then he'll still be there when this
So
airs.
literally, it'd be the first time in ever if Michigan could literally somehow catch lightning in a bottle, win the Big Ten tournament, and not go to the dance.
Oh, it's an automatic bid. at
Oh
this
yeah, we
point.
get automatic
they would-
with a
yeah.
losing record.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's happened many times.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, there's my chance. All right, now I got a reason to watch.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man, cool. Micah, how many minutes are we? Dude, 30 minutes? All right, I'm good. I'm feeling good right now. Like we just come
March
out.
Madness talk brings everyone.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So we'll call it a wrap. And sorry if we, totally went down that rabbit hole. I told you I wasn't going to go down with politics and stuff, and it is frustrating. But do vote. Hopefully it still makes a difference. We're not sure anymore. But
At least locally, you got to. That's where shit can get
definitely.
done.
School boards, city council, your local county commissioners, your aldermans, man, vote. Absolutely get out there and vote for that stuff because it definitely makes a difference. And we love our local people that a lot of them just volunteer for that because like what do they get? $1,800.
Well, the mayor is like it's like a $500 a year stipend.
Yeah,
It's
it's pretty much a volunteer position. So thank you for your service, folks that actually go out there and do that. For the most part, that's a thankless job. So with that, we'll call it a wrap. We'll see you next time. Don't know what the topic is going to be. It'll be better than this one. It'll be awesome. See ya.